Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our podcast, Beneath Your Skin. This is Gaia, totally crazy and eating chocolate. Hello, my dear. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. As I say, I've been living in a fantasy world. I mean, I'm eating cucumber, so I feel slightly more healthy, but that's because it's really, really warm, and the UK isn't made of air conditioning. So it's just like, oh my God, it's 25 degrees, and I'm sitting next to a glass French doors with no air conditioning.
Yeah, I can understand that. Today, we are going to talk about a movie called Errementari, The Blacksmith and the Devil. It's a Basque movie, and we found out that when we were watching it, it's the first time I watched a Basque movie, and okay, it's not a movie that is properly uh, part of our podcast, but you know what? After we watched very bad movies, this dark fairy tale wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It also picked up my curiosity because, as someone with a degree in history, I had to know what the Carlians War was because it's not something we study, at least not in the countries where I studied. And it was a kind of civil war. Spain went through from 1833 to 1840, fought between the Carlists and the Lealists. Basically, the first ones supported Karl of Bourbon and wanted him on the throne of Spain, while the Loyalists were loyal to the regent queen. But in truth, the Carlists, what they really wanted was a return to absolute monarchy, and it didn't work out. Spoiler: it didn't work out. But yeah, it reminded me a bit, at least, of Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. You
Yeah.
know, in the when the member of the government arrived and he's walking around in this basically empty village and looking for the forge of this blacksmith who is supposedly hiding the gold that the Tsar sent. It reminded me of how Johnny Depp arrived and walked around looking for clues for what was happening in Sleepy Hollow. As I said, it's a dark fairy tale. It's not really an horror movie. It's not about demonic possession at all. It's more about people selling their souls and then finding a way to break the deal. It's a good movie. It's well done. It's simple. It's very simple. The plot is not complicated. It's very linear. You want to burn the whole village when you realize how they are treating the little girl and the blacksmith itself. You don't particularly like anyone but the blacksmith and the girl, and somehow the woman taking care of her. But for everyone else, yeah, you would sacrifice the whole village, starting with the children, the two boys and the two girls, bullying the little girl and being mean and terrible and singing that very terrible song to her, telling her that her mom is rotting in hell because she killed herself. Okay, that's true. We are talking about Spain, and Spain was at the moment one of the most religious countries in the world. Yes, we are talking about a Catholic country, and we know that back then suicide was a very, very big sin. You were banned from sacred ground. You weren't buried in the cemeteries if you killed yourself. You were put on the grave, on a nameless grave, your face down, no coffin, your face down, and usually it was at the crossroad. Supposedly, when you committed suicide, you would come back as malevolent spirit. So if you were buried at a crossroad, you wouldn't know where to go back to your city. That's how suicide was treated back then. But children can be mean. Children can be very, very unpleasant. And those children were. There were no reason for them to keep reminding her that her mother committed suicide, even because she's innocent. She has no fault at all. At first, we could think that because of her mark on her face, the mother somehow thought she was evil or something, but it wasn't nothing like that. The mother didn't kill herself because of her child. She killed herself because of her bad choices that brought destruction and death to the family she recreated without really being sure her husband was dead. So it was because of her bad choices and bad timing that she committed suicide. The child had no fault at all. And still, she was crucified in that village. And honestly, really, you want to kill everyone.
Yep. Yeah, no, this film it wasn't what I was expecting. Like, when we saw it, The Blacksmith and the Devil, I'm like, okay, that sounds like a film that's obviously going to have a blacksmith and a devil in it. And I assumed, like, maybe demonic possession, like the devil, like the blacksmith was possessed by the devil. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm watching a gothic fairy tale. This is what this is. It's a gothic fairy tale. I mean, aesthetically, it's rather nice. Like, I like that kind of olden European setting. I like the way the architecture looks. I love the nature. Same like it reminds me of the beginning of The Nun, when I was just so fascinated by the sweeping views of the valleys and the mountains and the forests. And I love that. I love some valleys and mountains and forests. So I was like, oh, this is a lush area. And I've got to be honest, I'd never heard of Basque. I was like, where is this Basque? Like, what is this language? It's like, it doesn't sound like any European language I know. And I would never have guessed in a million years that it was like a Spanish, like, area, and that Basque was trying to get independence from Spain, because the language doesn't sound anything like Spanish. I was sitting there going, is this Italian? Is this Polish? Is this... I don't know. This doesn't sound like any language I've ever heard before. So it was quite, like, unique finding out about a culture that I didn't even know existed. And the setting is, you know, that nice old, like, European, like, village in the mountains, which I love. And then it has, like... Yeah, you definitely feel the fairy tale, like with the twisted metal and, like, you know, the mask he wears and the doors and the gates. And then you finally see the devil. And I wasn't expecting to actually see, like, a devil. Like, I do like the mythology around the devil and the demon kind and stuff. It reminded me of Legend, you know, Tom Cruise and, like, you know, Tim Curry is the devil. It reminded me of that. And I like the fact that he was, like, kind of a little lower level devil trying to, like, get his way, and then you introduced, like, the big up devils. And it's like, you know what? For a country I've never heard of and a part of the world that I've never been to, that I knew nothing about, this is a very well put together film. Yes, it's simple with its A to B, and it's just an adaptation of one of their, like, fairy tales, their urban mythologies. But it looks good. It was well filmed. We've seen some films recently out of America that don't look half as good as this. The cinematography is lovely. The acting is good. The mise-en-scène and the setting is good. It's edited well. Pacing's not too bad. I feel like a little bit like they introduced the dark humour a little bit too late in the game. So it was a bit like of a weird when suddenly they thought it'd be really funny to poke the devil in the cage and throw chickpeas. And I'm like, wait a minute, why are we suddenly getting, like, plinky plonky comedy music and people laughing at a devil they're poking with a stick? And I'm like, we'd started off with, like, you know, people getting, like, their heads trapped in bear traps and, like, this mythology about this evil blacksmith and, like, his girl being bullied and, like, there's an actual devil on the loose. And then it kind of started being a bit funny. And I was a bit like, okay, so this is also a comedy. And they do. They use that comedy element with the whole, like, you know, teasing the demons and throwing chickpeas around the place. And it does have a very, like, And at the end, it plays out like a fairy tale would play out. It's like, aha, the hidden gold, and we're defying the devil, and the gates of hell, and the little girl survives, and she's going to now be worshipped, and
I mean, it was well done. It The end gives you the closure you really want, even if his last act was made out of love and self-sacrifice. He knows he belongs to hell a lot more than the child. The child only wanted to see her mom, and that's a leitmotif in almost every fairy tale in which the protagonist is an orphan.
it's Pan's
So
Labyrinth. That's another one,
yeah,
that urban
yeah,
fantasy.
exactly. And yeah, it was good. In the end, I also liked how all the demons were created. They were the lower demon we meet at the beginning is the one with more resemblance to humans, because of course the most you resemble humanity, the lower you are. The more monstrous you are, the more powerful and the higher you are in the hierarchy of hell. So I liked how they were created. Some of them were like animals, like birds. All of them were monsters, and I liked the one with the face on his ass. That was fun. But yeah, I mean, to be a gothic fairy tale, it was very well done. I mean, they didn't want to recreate those heavy atmosphere that you get when you read Dante's Inferno, for example. That wasn't what they wanted to recreate on screen. And I liked how the humans, the souls that reacted when the gate of hell was closing, and there was the one who really wanted to be punished, who already tried with the other demon, telling him, punish me, I'm scum, punish me. And he started to run because he was terrified that the gate of hell would close without him inside. I like that. I was like, okay, my dear man, you have problems, but you know what? Hey, it's your life.
Well, your afterlife. Yeah.
Oh
No.
yeah, yeah. Your eternity. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? I liked the demon telling the girl why you can't leave hell, because you condemn yourself during your whole life. It's not just one decision that condemn you to hell. It's all the choices you make during your whole life. Even if in her mother's case that was a little bit different, but we have to remember that she committed other sins before killing herself. She wasn't a bad person, but sometimes you don't need to be a bad person. I don't know if you ever watched Smallville,
A
and
bit.
what Lex said about going dark. The descent to darkness is not a one-way trip, it's a slow motion
Yeah.
that you do during your whole life. The end was a little bit cheesy. Come on, you couldn't leave a young child rotting in hell, being tormented for eternity just because she missed her mom and she wanted to see her mom, because she realized in that moment that she really didn't have a place in the village. No one really liked her, no one really wanted her, and she was so sad that she decided that perhaps hell was better than reality, that the reality she was living. And that was a little bit heartbreaking in truth, because
Yeah.
sadly, if you read what happened on screen in modern society, it's probably one of the many reasons why so many teenagers and young boys and girls commit suicide nowadays, because they don't feel like they belong. It was good that at the end someone sacrificed for her. after no one really did during her whole life. So in the end, he and the demon cared for her much more than anyone else in the village. And
Yeah.
I also like that at some point the demon decided that to live on Earth was better than be demoted in hell. He will have a long and happy life on Earth.
Yes. I mean, it's like those what's that saying? Like, it's better to rule in hell than serve in heaven. So it's like kind of the demonic version of that. It's better to, like, have a free life in on earth than work in hell. And it's just like, yeah, and the demon was like, you know what? I know I'm fine. I'll make my way round like earth and be happier. I also like the fact that his like parting words were like, see this girl? She's something amazing. Like, she must be revered and worshipped, and if any of you lay a hand on her, I'll come back and eat your eyes. Or something. Yeah, no, was it eat your eyes or pop your eyes out?
No,
Yeah,
I will hit your thumbs.
eat your thumbs. That was it. Eat your thumbs. And they're all like, "Ooh!" And it's like, "Yeah, little girl, you've now got a feisty little demon on your side." And it's like, yeah, quite
Yeah,
cute.
indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah, indeed. And I liked how demons were a lot like humans when he realized that his own kind were turning their back to him.
yeah.
He decided to help the girl and the blacksmith because he had a better chance with them than with the bigger demon.
Yeah. I do love the demon designs. They are very cool. I do think the practical effects, the makeup. There's some wonderful makeup. Like, is it Sataniel? Sataniel's the one who you're following. He's our demon. I loved his design. I loved like how he looks, and I was like, oh, this is gorgeous. This is like, I haven't seen beautiful demonic makeup like that maybe since like Tim Curry in Legend, because they're too busy doing CGI monsters and demons, and they're too busy doing the like, yes, it's got half the body of a goat and then it's got a skull mask with horns, and it's like, yes, okay, we see that motive a lot. I want to see some actual like demon motives, red and horns and ears and tails and things. So I was quite impressed to actually see like those kind of fun like representations of demon kind, and they looked good. It was
Yeah,
lovely, well done. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They really cared for details. And I love that. This was a movie made to be watched by everyone and to be enjoyed by everyone. Even people who are too scared to watch horror movies would enjoy watching this one. It did what it was created to do. The plot wasn't too complicated. The only thing is that you have to read the subtitles because otherwise you don't know what the hell they are saying. But otherwise, it was a movie that you could have watched comfortably sat on your couch or just have it if you speak Basque. You could have it on the background on your computer and you could have done something else while it was going on. It was relaxing.
yeah,
Honestly, it was relaxing and it was a good watching. I mean, I enjoyed it. It didn't have big pretenses. It was good.
yeah.
I liked it.
It was a nice, simple watch. It's not really groundbreaking. I wouldn't really watch it again, but
No,
it had a nice story. It told it well. It looked good.
indeed, indeed. So, people, if you want to watch it, it's on Netflix. You can easily find it. If Zoe doesn't have anything else to say about this movie,
Nope.
thank you for listening, and we will be back next time with another movie, probably something that we won't enjoy, but hey, it's it's just it's it's just gambling. Honestly, to find a good movie among the huge bunch we have on Zoe's list, because Zoe's love lists. So yeah, it's like gambling. Most of the time you lose.
Yes.
If you want to tell us what you think of our podcast and our movies and the movies we pick, drop us a line on our Twitter account at beneath underscore your, or join us on our Facebook page. You just have to look for Beneath Your Skin. And we are on Spotify and on Pinecast. Thank you for listening and bye bye. See you next time.
As always, it was a pleasure. This was a nice little detour from our usual. Not bad. We'll now jump back in with more actual possession. It's quite remarkable how many like demonic possessions films have been made in the last couple of years. So far, not many have been good, but you know what? This is an educational journey, and we're gonna keep working at it. But for now, bye, bye.